We want to welcome our guest today to on Plática de Práctica, and Noé Barnett is joining us, and sure. He is a local artist, and I'll let you introduce yourself here in a sec, but I do want to kind of give the breakdown. So first off, we're at La Cueva High School right now, so now would be a good time. If you guys want to say hi real quick, you can say hi. So we're at La Cueva High School, and this is our first live audience that we're recording the podcast with. So we appreciate them having us in their classroom space. We appreciate Ms. Farrell, who is their teacher, for inviting us in. And yeah, there's several reasons that we have Noah here, primarily to talk a little bit about murals and mural work, but also to share his experience in education and with educators that impacted him, or an educator that impacted him. And typically the podcast goes from the lens of teachers sharing it, kind of that story and their experience, but we're going to go from like a former student perspective to former APS student. And yeah, so I'll open it up to you if you want to let us know who you are and the title you run with.
Sweet. Like Renee was saying, my name is Noé Barnett, born and raised in Albuquerque. First off, again, thank you for having me. I know just some random guy showing up to speak. So, and studio days, whenever you show up to art class, studio days are our prized possession. So apologies for taking studio time from you, but
do you guys mind? There's a couple of no's.
Some of them are like, yeah, but
don't look over here, Miss Farrell.
No, I respect it. That's what you should want. Just come here and work. But yeah, I'm an artist. I paint canvases, I paint walls, and had the privilege of painting all over the country, but also have a lot of work here in town. So yeah, that's just a short bio. Went to Volcano Vista. Grew up disliking La Cueva, so this is kind of funny. Yeah.
Well, you played basketball, though, right? Yeah. And we just heard the announcements, and La Cueva won last night against Sandia. So yeah, does that rub you a little?
No. I'm way past that now. So obviously, I painted the gym, so
that's awesome. And I'm pretty sure that most people in here have probably seen your work and maybe don't even recognize that it's you that did it. So there's murals in APS. We were talking a little before we started recording about the big mural right now on University and Central. Yeah. And remind me the building that it's on. I don't know exactly.
It's called the Arts Lab.
Okay.
It's just a UNM building. They have various creative things that they do in there.
Okay. So. Yeah. And if you go on his Instagram, you'll see that he has this really awesome like mini doc of that process. And yeah. And honestly, your Instagram is probably, I always tell people it's like the best curated Instagram I've ever seen. Yeah. So if you guys scroll on his Instagram, it's like one big wallpaper. Everything's like connected. And
it used to be.
Is it not as much?
They changed the way. I'll go on a tangent about Instagram, but it used to be squares, and so I used to have this Photoshop document when everything segmented, and I could specifically determine what my cover was going to look like. But they changed the aspect ratio of the post now, so everything was off.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it was a really nicely curated Instagram page, and you always have good content. So if you guys don't follow him, you should probably follow him, especially now that you're working on mural stuff. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the mural here at their gym, because I mean, I came to a game last week, a basketball game, and honestly, it was cool because the admission door is like it frames the bear. Yeah. So as I'm waiting in line, that's all you see is bear, and it's really cool because I think it's a little intimidating if you're another team and you see that. I think it's like like we're in trouble. So what happened? Like, how did you get that gig, or even some of the other gigs like with APS? Like what was the story behind that?
I think most work at this point comes from word of mouth, and like you said, went to Volcano Vista, and just having connections over there, I just reached out, wanted to do some work for them. And so they didn't really have much experience with it. They kind of just were like, yeah, you can do it, but we'll have you in the aux gym, because they didn't want to give me the free reign to paint the main gym without any examples, I guess. Yeah. So it was I always give them a hard time whenever I go back, because they just threw me in the back gym. But painted over there, and then a lot of other schools saw that. Did some work at Monzano. I did some work at Eldo, and then the basketball coach at Volcano Vista is also used to coach with the coach that's here now. Okay. And so there was a connection there, and then just reached out. And
Okay, cool. So word of mouth.
Yeah.
But obviously, I would argue that it's also the craft. Like the work that you do, I'm always like, yeah. Me, myself, having painted murals, like I'm like, it's not easy. It's physically demanding. And the immense size of like what you're doing in some of these gyms, it's crazy to me. Like the photorealism in the bear, or even like the hawk at Volcano, like it's crazy. And I think the Ox gym is cool because it's kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I was there and I know of like the hawk in the gym and whatnot. But then the teacher there at Volcano, she was like, you haven't seen the Ox gym, you should come with me there. And she took me. And yeah, I mean, it's like a hall of fame, I guess, kind of.
More or less.
Do you want to explain a little bit about what that one is?
Yeah. So there was obviously athletes, just people that went to the school. And so reached out to a lot of the coaches and just asked for kind of their best student or best athlete, and just chose pretty much one person from each sport, and just progressively added the one person from each sport throughout the whole gym, and pretty much filled it up at this point. Yeah.
That was cool. That was a cool experience to see all those faces and portraits of former students. And yeah, let's jump back into like some of the murals and stuff that you're doing currently, and then maybe a little bit about your show coming up. But like the mural at Central and University, like it was a collab with another artist, and it's an interesting kind of mix of visuals and aesthetics, and like what's the concept behind it, like that you had to work with that artist. And I bring that up too because the students here at La Cueva are working as groups, so they're kind of having to deal with, I think, some of the like creative liberties and probably push and pull that you dealt with.
For sure. These canvases are groups, or
right? Yeah. You guys are working in groups?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of yes, head nodding.
Dope. Yeah, I think the creative process, especially with other people, is always, like you said, a push and pull. With the project for the city, normally city projects, government projects, they put the job application out and then you kind of apply for it. You put your name in the hat, and then there's a process of application step by step where they'll pick you, then you'll do another step of designs, and it's kind of progressed that way. This one was a little bit different. They reached out to everybody that was involved. So there was no process, there was no application. They called everybody up and said, hey, we have this project. Would you like to be a part of it? If so, here's who you're going to be with. And so that's how that went. They said I was going to be with Travis, just a great artist who I actually was not familiar with. I didn't know of him, didn't know of his work. And so the process was pretty interesting. They were like, you're going to be with this guy. I was like, okay, did some research. His style is completely different from mine, very drastically different, which maybe they did on purpose. And yeah, it was just a process of getting familiar with one another, trying to just understand and learn what he does with his practice. And then, yeah, just working every day to make those things coexist.
How did you guys communicate, or like, how did you share, like, I guess
we would just go to
roles?
Each other's studio and just brainstorm.
Yeah.
I make all my mocks on Photoshop. And so it's pretty easy to make changes. So we would do something and just step back, see if it works. Now change this. And that process took months. It was a long process for sure.
And that's just, I mean, the age old challenge with group work, right? Is some people end up doing more, or some do less. So it's always like, and then as artists, I think there's part of like, well, I want my voice or my vision to be represented. So sharing that. And I think you guys did a good job of like combining, and those of you that may or may not have seen it, it's essentially a portrait, right? A center portrait of your mom, actually. And then it kind of disperses into like imagery of like Route 66. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then Travis stuff is more like pixelated, Minecrafty.
If you imagine Minecraft, he's making Minecraft cars and a Roadrunner and a Lobo and stuff like that. So,
How did you go about choosing your imagery then to kind of mix with that?
I think just my process kind of is very wordy. So I'm reading a lot. I'm trying to understand things. I came across this statement or the phrase that Route 66 is called the Mother Road. And so that kind of just resonated with me.
That's awesome.
Thought about the portrait and including my mom.
That's cool.
And then yeah, just going from there, just bouncing off.
Yeah. See, I nerd out on stories about artwork like that. Like I feel like more of a connection now because you said that. I'm like, oh yeah, Mother Road, your mom, like that, like aspect of it.
Yeah.
That's really cool for me because even at like museums, I like going and reading the descriptions of paintings, even if it's like a red square. It's like, oh, well, this lengthy write up as to the meaning of life and whatever. And you're just like, oh, and that's what that red square means. And I just feel like a connection when I understand more of like the story behind it. It drives my wife crazy. She's like, it's just a red square. But I'm like,
drives me crazy sometimes too, honestly, but
it depends on the artist, I guess. Maybe I'm a little more subjective with that. Yeah.
Yeah. He had actually never painted a mural before. So
that is wild.
It was a steep learning curve for him.
I would be scared to know that I'm painting with you and know that it's my first. I would be like, but I wanted to talk a little bit about like the education side, right? Like as a student, what are like some things or like teachers that you feel like impacted your trajectory into what you do now, or like is there something you want to share around that?
Yeah. Like I was telling you, I didn't take any art classes in high school, so you guys are definitely way ahead of me in terms of just progression and learning. So it wasn't until I got to UNM that I took fine art and started taking this more seriously. But few professors, just 3, I would say. One in particular, his name's Bo Carey. He's still a working artist to this day, and we still keep in contact. But just showing up to art school, it was a very trying time, just not really speaking the language, just being an outsider growing up playing sports.
Yeah.
He just put a lot of confidence in me and put a lot of wind in my sails. And I don't think I'd be here without him, frankly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think educators and teachers are crucial, vastly important. So, yeah.
In high school, though, like I know you played basketball.
Yeah.
And like, was there any like aspect of basketball that you feel like helped you develop habits that you
definitely
you have now?
Yeah, I think almost invaluable. Growing up with art, there's just this kind of misconception that it's just all talent and there's no amount of work that comes with it, and it's just something that you're born with. But I think growing up playing sports, you understand that if you put the work in day in and day out, and you just show up and not really care how you feel, it's just like, I'm just going to work today. You just get better.
Yeah,
and it's there's an element of, I shouldn't even say that. I don't want to say there's an element of talent, because I think if you put the work in, I think anybody could learn how to draw or paint or figure things out, right? It's just about enjoying the craft and showing up and putting the work in. So sports served me so well in that aspect.
Yeah. As you say that, it's interesting because I've told students before, like the art world is kind of a big dinner table and there's a seat at the table for everybody. And I think oftentimes we compare ourselves to, say, that artist that we saw on Instagram or Noah, because he's painting these huge murals. And it's like, it takes steps to get there, but it's also, I think oftentimes we become our own worst enemy as artists because there's things that we think will make us an artist. Like if I use oil paint, I'm going to be an artist, but then your calling might actually be ceramics. Yeah. Like there's different mediums. And so I think, like you say, these guys are a step ahead a little bit because they have the ability to test the waters in these next couple years. I don't know the ages of all the students in here, but in high school, you have 4 years to kind of figure out like, okay, what's calling me, and not always base it on, I think, what other people are telling you should be doing. Cause that was my issue in high school. Is I was playing basketball. I took art freshman year, and then I had friends in basketball that made fun of me for being in art. And I was like, I would rather have friends than to be doing art. So I ended up not taking any art classes until back then. We had semester courses. So I didn't take art again until my senior year, like second semester, right before I graduated. And the art teacher was like, where have you been? Like, you should have been in these classes. And, I chose friends over that. And I mean, not to say that social life isn't important and whatnot, but also I think following your gut and your instinct and being open to it, like limiting distractions, like from your phone or from TV or whatever, Netflix or Instagram, like it's I think important to then really like reflect on, even at a younger age, reflect on the possibilities of what your life could be or things that you want to participate in. And yeah, you have a cushion, right, where you can really like test the waters and not, you still have a lot of support, whether it's family, whether it's school, teachers, whatever. Because once you get into college, that support kind of dwindles unless you have like really strong relationships with people and stuff. So I don't know what your thoughts are around something like that.
Yeah, tons of thoughts. I mean, because I didn't have any support. I went back to, story is kind of a long one, but I went back to school at 22, went back to UNM, decided to change my major, become a fine art major. Parents are military family, dad's in the military, mom's in the military, grandparents in the military. So you tell your family who's in the military that you want to pursue a career in artwork, they laugh at you, and dad wasn't happy. Yeah, it was just a whole thing. So I just had no support. Nobody believed that this was a feasible option. So even without it, you can still just put your head down, like I was saying, and put the work in. But I think so many people just have an innate desire to make things and create, and that's put inside of us. And there are going to be obstacles, whether that's a social life, pressure from your family. There's just going to be obstacles that we are all going to face that is going to stop the things that we want to and desire to create into the world. And our main fight is going to be to just fight those obstacles, whatever they are. And they still exist even for me or for anybody. I think there's just, whether that's complacency or whatever it is, it changes, right? But the challenge is just overcoming those on a daily basis. Yeah. What do they say about Hitler? He was a suppressed artist, and his suppression led to doing all of the evil things that he did.
Along, like, I was recently talking to another local artist who you guys might be interested in. His name is Josh Misusawa, and like, we went to school together. He went to Volcano too. Yeah. So I know you know him, and it's interesting because he just became a father. Like his baby's probably like a year and a half now or something, and so we were talking kind of about like that aspect of just time, and like the big obstacle now is time. Like when things change, when you have family, when you have other things, like me, like my practice has changed because I have a daughter. I'm an educator. I'm married, all that. Like, so, but it's finding, I think, not balance. And I think that's the wrong word to use. It's finding harmony, because there's going to be days that you guys are going to be amazing students and you're like, oh my God, like Stanford and Yale are going to want me like no other. And then there's days that you're like, you know what? I just need to veg out and watch, like, I don't know, something on Netflix, Stranger Things is final season, whatever, right? Like, so it's like finding the harmony though, like, and knowing, right, that there's debts that are taken in the process, where if I do like spend that, I binge season 5 of Stranger Things on what weekend, I know I'm going to have to come back on Monday and come back harder in some of these other things that I'm doing. So it's like finding the harmony and the push and pull, because balance is, I saw this like talk, and I don't know if it was a TED talk back in the day, but there's this woman and she said she doesn't believe in balance. And I'm kind of along those lines, is we're going to be, I mean, we're fluid beings. Like we're going to be good at one thing really well. And like the more harmony you can find, that's where you find consistency. And that's where it's like the pattern kind of, you pick up the rhythm of things, the flow. Yeah. So, and you kind of talked about flow a little bit recently on Instagram, I think. Yeah, it was just a little post just about being in flow state. Yeah. Yeah. What would you define flow state as? I think just simplest term for me is when effort disappears, when you just are not trying anymore and you're just present. Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Cool. We're going to do a little game, because our most recent episodes, we've done a game with our guest. So we are going to ask for 2 volunteers. So if there's 2 people that want to volunteer to play the game, and let me explain it first, maybe that'll help. So Noah and I are going to do blind contour drawings of the 2 volunteers, and then the 2 volunteers will do a blind contour of us. You won't be on camera, but we'll get the drawings and we'll just kind of hold them up so that people that are watching the podcast can see the wonderful, amazing artwork that we create. Okay. Are there any volunteers that want to participate? I have one over here and one over here. Watch. So if you guys want to join us at this table right here, and you're going to be on that side of the table.
A few moments later.
Oh no.
It's hard because I'm like worried about the time and how much information you can get down.
Yeah.
Not amount of time. And obviously placement of everything there.
Oh no. This is really so bad.
Don't
I have
pass down.
30 seconds left.
30 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go faster. You're missing it here right now.
I think you're missing a lot of things. I don't know where I'm at anymore. I'm
We're
literally
trying to fill in whatever bits you kind of look like.
10 seconds now. Yeah.
All right, any better?
Oh,
This is way better. That's really good. All right, so we're gonna, do you wanna sign it? And
oh,
then
sure.
we're just gonna hold them up in the camera. All right, so for the Q&A, do we want to go with the first question? Who was it again? Back there. Would you like to ask your question? Do you want to just shout it out? Yeah, you can go ahead. So how do you get hired, stay hired, and market yourself, right? With or without social media? What are your thoughts? Preferably without social media.
What's your beef with social media? I don't know who's asking.
Well, what's the issue with social media? Or like, what are your concerns? You said stealing art, right? Like the. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. It almost feels inevitable at this point, but I think in terms of the first part of the question, getting hired, the first probably 2 or 3 walls that I did for free. And it's just a good way to get practice, get your foot in the door. And then when other people or when somebody who owns a business or who has a wall sees you working and sees you doing a good job, then they'll ask and say, how much do you charge? And then just ball kind of just rolls from there. In terms of consistency, I think that just varies based on everybody's career and the location you're at. If you're in a big city or if you're in a place that has people who are invested and interested in art, it's going to help you. If you're in a bigger city with a lot of competition, if you're in LA or New York or Chicago, then there's going to be a lot more people vying for different jobs, but also there are going to be more opportunities. So a lot of variables play into that for sure. But I think just focusing on the craft, the work and all of that stuff kind of falls into place when you just focus on yourself and your own practice and just doing the best job that you can do each time that you have an opportunity. And yeah, that'd probably be my answer.
Cool. And then second question, I don't know if they're here, or we can just open it up. If you have a question, if you want to just raise your hand and ask, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, that varies. Number of different aspects, right? How big the wall is, how the level of detail, if it's monochromatic, if there's a lot of different colors. So number of different variables. If it's outside and you have to deal with rain or wind, or if it's inside and you can control everything. So it could be a day. The one that Renee was talking about that was across from UNM, that one took a month. And that's the longest I've ever worked on a mural. So They go pretty quick. I think the gym, the bear, the whole project took about a week. One of them took like 3 days. One of them took like 2, I think. So yeah, it goes pretty fast.
Any other questions? Yeah.
How do you determine pricing? Is it like wall size or hour?
Yeah, that's a pseudoscience.
Yeah.
I still don't know. I sent an invoice yesterday. I was like, I'm just pulling this out of thin air. There are people that have that way more locked in, and then just do square footage.
Yeah.
But because again, things that are more dense detail wise are going to take much longer, then it's hard to just give a blanket statement. I usually will get information about the job and then determine time. I think time is how I usually go about sending invoices. So
it's the art world is tricky with pricing because there are like you see stories of like toddlers painting and they sell their stuff for like $2,000 or something. You're like, whoa, like what? And then, so it's one of those things that, I'm kind of planting a seed right now as well. But, Art Mart, some of you may have heard of Art Mart. I know you guys had a market last semester here, but Art Mart is going to be a district-wide pop-up market for you guys if you're interested in selling artwork. But we shared an equation with them where, again, like in terms of like the mural, like, I would consider like square footage, and then like kind of basing it off of that. Like if you charge like $10 a square foot, do the math. And that way it's easy for people that, are going to be paying you, right? That there's like a breakdown and it makes sense to them. If you kind of randomly shoot out a number, sometimes you might shoot yourself in the foot because somebody in town might charge the same or whatever, right? Like it's different, and it's just tricky. Like that's where it gets kind of messy with the business side of art. Is some people will oftentimes too, like I've seen where an artist might undermine the other one and say, oh, you're charging $5,000. They're charging you $5,000 for that. I'll charge you $4,000. And like, there's kind of that competition, which doesn't always have to be there, but it's just kind of the business world at times that gets kind of slimy.
Yeah. I wouldn't even trip about that. If somebody's going to try and undercut you with price, and it's just go for it. I mean, I think that goes back to just taking pride in your craft and just being confident in the work that you do and the product that you put out. Yeah. And one thing, like in a little equation that helped me some years back, was coming up with a target number. So say you want to do this full time, and even this, I think this works with doing canvas work as well, or whatever you do. You set your yearly salary. So if you want to make 50,000 or 52, we'll use a nice even number. You want to make $52,000 in a year, and you assume something's going to take you about a week, then you know that you need to make $1,000 off that project to hit your target salary. And then you kind of just reverse engineer that. You add on your materials, any equipment that you need on top of that $1,000, and then you can kind of price things that way. But that,
to kind of add to the response for how long the mural takes, there's all kinds of variables too, right? Where you might need a lift and you can't rent a lift until next week. Or, like there's all these things, like it rained. You don't want to go paint a surface that's freshly wet with rain. So there's all kinds of like crazy variables too to kind of take into account with time. So that it just made me think of that as well.
And for bigger projects, you'll add a contingency line in an invoice just to account for things like that. Yeah.
And sometimes, like if you can, just to cover yourself and like any supplies or whatever, like asking for half up front if possible.
I would guarantee,
Or that way you're guaranteed, right? Yeah. Because say they come after the project is done, they're like, we don't like any of that, we're not going to pay you, whatever. Like that's the worst situation you would want to be in, especially if you spent like a month working on something, or even a week, or even 10 hours, whatever. Like your time is valuable. That's the other thing, is even at your guys' young age, your time is worth something. And I think that's important to remember as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do work for free, whether that's a design or changes or alterations. Definitely always charge for your time, right? Just imagine going to your doctor and saying, can you fix my cavities? And maybe if I like it, then I'll pay you. It's like, no, it's crazy.
Yeah. That just makes me think of the amount of times friends have been like, can you draw a tattoo for me?
I'm sure
You know
guys
how
did
many
that
friends have gotten those tattoos?
for
0. And it's like, what? Like, anyway. Okay, moving on. Is it
10 kids in here. I just counted. We're just getting the art market.
okay? So I expect to see those names pop up when we release.
Yeah.
Yeah, because last year, like, we've only had one person represent you guys at Art Mart. So
This year.
not it'd be nice to have a few more bears there. All right. Next question. Who else has a question? Go ahead.
What do you do if you make like a really big mistake and it's so big that like is it like harder to cover up since there's so much like surface area?
I would say yes. I'm trying to think of an instance. Most of the things that are coming to mind in terms of mistakes happen off the wall. Spilling a 5-gallon bucket of paint in the middle of the street. It's stuff like that. It's never anything on the actual surface that's like super catastrophic. One thing that I will say is, and you may not run into this for some time, but always work on a wall like top to bottom, because if you're working on the top and something spills and you're up on a lift and you finish the bottom portion, then you don't have to worry about the paint spilling onto the stuff that you've already done, right? So you always do the very top and then kind of like a printer, or at least this is the way that I work, like just work down from there. And then just consistently stepping back, because you're maybe working on an eye that's like this big and you can't really see what you're doing. Same thing, right? On a canvas, you do a little mark and you take a step back. And it's just amplified when you're working on something at a larger scale.
I think that is a good suggestion. The printer concept. Yeah. Top to bottom, like even like background to foreground, because you're going to be able to like clean up your edges, whatever. Like if the background's done, like you can refine that. And yeah, I would tell my students, like when I was in the classroom, that paint is an interesting like medium to work in, because it dries and then you can most of the time paint over it. It gets trickier with different mediums and stuff, but for the most part, like paint is pretty forgiving. And I think people get a little worried that, oh, look, it's permanent, and yeah, I mean, in art, you can run with any kind of mistake, I guess. Like you can apply it somehow or integrate it somehow.
For sure. I think I've tried to portray this over the time we've been speaking, but I just don't have any romanticized feelings about it. If you make a mistake, then you just fix it, right? It's just paint. If you don't like it, you can paint it again. So yeah, just being free in that sense to just make the marks and comfortable changing them and confident to be able to change them if you don't like them.
Yeah. Care about your work, but don't fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Like definitely care about like the product and how good it looks and stuff, but don't ever fall in love with it, because there's always going to be another project. And like it's like one of those things. I think art is just a lifelong process. Like you're never gonna be done. Like there's always something else to do or try or something new. I mean, and then we change, right? Like if we look at artists, even physically, right? Like our bodies get older, our joints don't work as well. And you see the progression of like even artists, like one of my favorite artists is Salvador Dali, and the work that he made in his late years is nothing compared to like his earlier years. So yeah, just keeping that in mind too, that it's okay to evolve and change like as
expected, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, question?
Did you figure out that this is like your ideal medium, and also like what other kind of mediums do you work with?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say that it's my ideal medium, but
It pays.
yeah, it's paying the bills right now. So
Yeah.
that, kind of just fell into that. I would say I mainly paint murals and oil. And so I'm having a show in June, and that's all going to be canvas work, oil paint. I started out drawing colored pencils and charcoal and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's all just a creative outlet, right? And whatever medium that you need to get the point across is the one that's going to be used. But yeah, painting wall, there is something special about painting something at that larger scale and doing it in the public. So
Yeah.
if you haven't done it, maybe recommend giving it a try. Hit me up. I'm always, if you want to come to a project one time over the summer, maybe. I've had tons of students come help me. So yeah, it's always an option.
That's the other thing for young artists. Take people up on offers like that. Like if there's an artist that you look up to or respect and you're like, you know what, I'm going to just DM him real quick or whatever, right? There's the importance of relationships too. Because I mean, we go back in art history and we think of like artists and they had apprentices and they had and we've kind of lost that a little bit in the art world. But if you have artists that are doing stuff that you're interested in or whatever, and they offer you something like that, definitely take them up on that. I'm going to take you up on that.
You were supposed to come to this one.
Oh, I know. I was texting Noah because we were organizing the podcast and I was asking him about the bear and it just so happened that it was it's because you're a night owl.
Yeah.
You're a night owl. So I was like, I got to go to work tomorrow. But he was here working late at night on the bear. But that would have been cool to see. Yeah, because that too, it's good to see artists' processes. And I think you see these massive paintings or oil paint, whatever, right? And any artist. And it's nice to know how they got there. And that's what I was asking about earlier, were you projecting some of your work and stuff? Because I've been using a VR headset, there's some apps now that you can put the VR headset on and kind of use that as a form of projection so that you don't have to use a projector or be out late at night in downtown Albuquerque with the projector and all that equipment. You can wear the VR headset and essentially do what you would do in the day. You don't have to do it at night. So yeah, there's all kinds of, and then obviously different methods of drawing on big surfaces, the chicken scratch method or because you're familiar with Detour. Yeah. So that guy too is that's an interesting mural artist that you guys should check out. And I don't know if you guys have looked at him, Miss Farrell.
I haven't showed them.
Yeah, because he's a mad scientist. Yeah. He also creates all kinds of contraptions for mural painting and stuff and devices. And that would be a cool artist just to check out. Detour 303, he's from Denver. So interesting dude. All right, next question. Who's got another question?
Yeah, to an extent. I think it's a tool that I use, right? So I'll find a pose on the internet, on Pinterest or Google or whatever, and then I'll use that. You throw it into AI, get some feedback, and then go back into Procreate. But yeah, I definitely use AI to help create it.
And these are tools of your guys' generation, right? Don't stray from them. I think people will be kind of putting ideas in your head that, the AI is the devil and don't touch it. And to an extent, right? You still want to have an aspect of your own hand in it and your ideas, but use these tools. I had students generating sneaker drawings, but using AI to create a really interesting concept art type thing. So use these tools at your disposal, try things, find what works. Again, you go behind the scenes of some of these artists' works and you're going to be surprised, that's how they did it. There's processes that I think we should share more and not hold tight and keep that knowledge to ourselves. So yeah, good question. That one could have gotten heated.
Really?
No. Yes.
Do you guys seeing more inclusion of special students paint here at Angel? Do you seeing them be more included in art classes, being with these cultures that's what some of these guys are doing.
Yeah.
Several in here are like that.
I'll let you answer that.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, 100%, 1,000% yes. That was one of so in my role currently, I'm a resource teacher. Prior to this role, I was working at Cibola High School. And one of my classes was service learning with the arts in mind. And it was primarily IGS students. And so, yeah, they drove the curriculum. We found projects that would work for anybody and not just I think that's hugely important because I think that's the world that we live in. We're all part of this community. Yeah.
too, and he's coming in. You can rent the class too.
Yeah. No, I've worked with a young man that actually was life-changing for me. I was his caretaker, and he was 10 years old, paralyzed from the neck down. And we would paint, and he was in an art show with me. This is probably like 20 years ago. But I think there's ways of seeing, and in general, like people, even just challenges in general, like seeing them not so much as like a hindrance, but as opportunities to grow and to, again, like don't assume that you know who you are when you're still growing and when you're still learning. Like there's tons of things, life experiences that are going to happen, people you'll meet that will challenge you to be better if you are open to it. And so I love that. I love that question. Yeah, that was one of the hardest things about leaving Cibola to come into this role was that class. I was heartbroken, and I was actually able to go see a few of the students graduate last year. And I have a photo that I saved to this day because like they meant way more to me and taught me way more than I probably could have ever taught them. So yeah. I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, I think sums it up. Yeah, can't really.
No, I think that's a good question. It's good that we talk about those things, especially in the art classroom where, again, there's a seat at the table for everyone. So it's just pulling the chair out and helping some people and whatnot. And I think everybody should be welcome. Yeah. Next question. Anybody else have any questions? Probably take about 2 more questions. How about that? And then we'll let Noah go on with his day.
I'm going back to sleep.
So you both did not graduate.
No,
Sir.
I grew up in southern New Mexico. So I'm a Gadsden Panther. So
I'm actually a parent. I graduated here.
awesome. That's awesome.
13. I'm proud of it.
Cool. And you went to Volcano. Okay.
Go Hawks.
The tension is still there.
You know,
All right. I saw you briefly kind of.
I just want to I was like graduating because I assumed it wasn't like crazy long yet.
It was. I'm old.
Like how much has like your art style like changed?
Quite a bit. Like I mentioned, started with color pencil and was doing, I think a lot of people start making fan art, Ninja Turtles, superheroes, that kind of stuff. And then progressed into charcoal, like I mentioned. Everything was black and white. Even my paintings were black and white, and I didn't do any color. And now everything that I do is extremely, maybe too saturated. It's just like if you just drug the saturation to the max. So things have evolved, and Renee kind of mentioned that. I think just as an artist, you never want to be pigeonholed or just stuck in a box, and it's almost expected that you're just going to just evolve as an artist and just make work. And hopefully in 10 years, what I'm doing now just looks drastically different from what I'll be doing then, and the same for you, because keeps it interesting. And yeah. I would say, kind of like I mentioned earlier, the intangibles or the disciplines, the habits that I picked up through that are what served me the best. Sports, obviously, you got to show up and you got to practice every day. And if you don't perform well, then you're not going to play. And tying those practices into our work where it's just, I'm going to show up and I'm going to put this much time in, and I'm not going to really feel or have an emotion about it. Like Renee was saying, almost feeling detached from what you're doing and just treating it like a job or a workout or something that, it's I think disconnected is the best word, where it's just, you're showing up, you're going to put the work in, it's discipline. I'm doing this because I love it, but also because I know to improve and to get better, I'm just going to have to put my butt in the seat and just work on your craft, right? There's an element of, I think, mysticism, or I don't know of a better word with art, where you either are inherently talented or you can't draw at all. You can't draw a stick figure. That's what everybody says. Mm-hmm. And there's so much in between. And if you put the work in and you show up every day, I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and I think I playing basketball myself and like also coaching basketball, I would tell my players like everything I learned in basketball has nothing to do with the sport. And a lot of that was those intangibles. Like waking up on a Saturday early morning after we just got our butt kicked the night before and going to practice and giving your all, like all those things got transferred into they're like life skills and not necessarily sport skills. Yeah, I could learn to shoot like Steph Curry or dribble like Kyrie, but I was using those other skills though, because in high school I was 6 feet tall in a Mexican American family. I thought I was going to the NBA. But then the reality sets in that maybe not. And but applying those skills that I picked up from that into the other things and other aspects. So I think, yeah, because I see a track and field hoodie and there's probably a few more athletes around. So yeah, like using those things that you learn, right? And just applying them in everything that you do. So I saw another, go ahead.
I would just say it goes the other way too. Like the things you learn as an artist, you can apply to other areas of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I saw a hand kind of do that over here.
I was just gonna say, like, when you taken any art classes up until college, did you feel like you were like behind or like some
Yeah, I was definitely at the bottom of the scale, I would say. So college was tough. Just walking in with people who just had a vocabulary, who had seemingly so much confidence. Yeah, it was rough. So yeah, definitely felt behind, but I think that's a myth, right? There's no on time or behind, or everybody's on their own timetable. So it's just a perception and a feeling that I had, but just looking back, it's all fake, right?
I would argue to take advantage of like the opportunities that you do have, because you are in an like art class right now, or you are in a school that doesn't necessarily have the same struggles as other schools. So thinking about that, right? Looking at the glass as half full consistently, because I think if you go into the other mindset, yeah, it's hard. Because I struggle with that. Like I was from the opposite mindset, and similar to you, like I took a painting class my freshman year in college, and I was so behind. I mean, it's oil paint. I'd never touched oil paint before. I don't know what a medium is. Like there were students in there that had gone to high schools that had been painting in oil for 4 years. And but again, like I think you have to kind of put the blinders on and just kind of focus in and say like, well, what am I going to do to like, what are the things that I can control? Yeah. And right now you guys, whether you believe it or not, like have a lot of control over some of that, especially at this age, especially in high school. Yeah, we still have to answer to parents and whatever. But for the most part, you're making decisions that are going to have a ripple effect for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So there's a lot in that where, yeah, take advantage of situations that allow you to have opportunities to learn and grow and meet people and experience new things. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think the last thing I'll say is I think that feeling just almost gave me this massive chip on my shoulder to just work that much harder. I think I mentioned that a few times as well, but just wanting to just, again, work that much to kind of make up that ground. So it's just like every day, almost like a madman. I didn't really have much of a social life. I didn't do much else outside of just trying to improve. But yeah, the feeling behind, everybody's on their own timeline, but the work is there. If you put the time in, I think that's, if I can impart one thing to you, I think the sky's the limit. If this is something you're interested in, you're passionate about, if you put the time in, if you love it, then you could do whatever you put your mind to.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And I want to thank you guys for your questions and for having us here with you guys. We appreciate it. So with that, I want to sign off, and yeah, we look forward to all the work that you'll be putting out in July?
June.
June. So June at Secret Gallery, downtown Albuquerque.
Yes, sir.
Cool. We look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.